Live with what I think is episode 164 of Voices of Revival. I believe it's 164. Um, Let me see. Yes, it is episode 164 of Voices of Revival. We are joined tonight by a guest we have had on a plethora of times in the past, Josiah Van Horn. Josiah, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah. Um, where is it you're going to college again? You're home. You're home for a little bit.
I am going to Ozark Bible Institute down in Neosho, Missouri. Currently on spring break. We had a group come up here for. I asked Brother Josh, he's our outreach leader, and I asked him if I could come home and see family, and I got the opportunity to do that, and I very much appreciate him for giving me the opt out of the trip so I could come home. So yeah, that's why I'm home.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yes, sir.
How is Bible college going for you?
It's going good. I feel like the only thing I would ever have to complain about that college is how far it is away. Because like everything else at that college is just it's transformational. I feel like a lot of I feel like if you look around at other people at the college before they came there and how they are now, you just see completely different individuals. Just completely transformed. I
Yeah.
feel like because brother Daniel E. Taylor, he described OBI. He was the former pastor of the church before Brother Laredo took over. He said that he quotes it and describes it as a place where God can help himself to young lives. And I feel like that's a good example because you just see completely different people walking out of that place compared to when they registered.
What would you say is the biggest so far in your this first year while you've been there? What's your biggest takeaway? What's the biggest things you would say that God has done in your life as you've been there?
Probably, I don't know if I found out this within the school year, but I found out that my mom was delivered off of drugs. And I struggle sometimes giving God credit for that because, it's because she was off probation. But I found out that within the school year, and I found out that uh in a she's living in a YWCA area, and it's like a she's taken care of, and I feel like that was one of the big things that, and also God found out or God provided means of transportation for me to get back to college now twice. So God is he's really came through multiple times, and it's very evident. And I feel like the evidence has been shown throughout throughout all of the school year,
Yeah.
and that's very cool. So,
Very cool. Very cool. Um,
sir,
what is like we haven't really got to talk in a while. This is you've been home for how long have you been home now?
oh, you're gonna be mad at me. I've been home since last like late Friday, early Saturday.
What have what have you been doing? Why is this the
Uh,
first time we're having a real conversation?
oh man, I would have seen. I saw you at church that Sunday, and
We
we didn't
saw
really
each
get to
other
have
in.
a. Saw you at church, and I think I tried to talk to you, but I think that I think you're talking to someone else, and I think I had something to do after service that day. So yeah, but we got to talk today a good amount when we were at service. So I mean,
When are you
I
leaving?
would have.
Are you leaving tomorrow?
Yeah, leaving tomorrow around noon. I have to be back by 10, and in reality with the hour or with the gaining an hour, is it gaining or losing an hour when you go behind?
Um, you're I think losing an hour.
Okay. Well, since I'm losing an hour, in reality, it's only an 8.5 hour trip. So if I leave at noon, I should be back, or like just with stops and stuff, I should be back around 9:30. So at my dorm monitor, brother Josh asked me to be back by 10, so I should be leaving around noon tomorrow. So yeah, I know.
Well, I am for just the purpose of this call. Like, I'm just gonna pretend like we're not streaming and this isn't a podcast, and we're just gonna talk. What are you excited about right now?
In terms of going back to college,
I
or
mean, just like in general, like take the filter of college off, right? Like, what are you excited about? Like, what is God doing in your heart? What excites you?
um, I feel like something he's taught me is that something I don't have my full heart in, I feel like I'm not gonna get much out of. Uh, Something I feel like I've struggled at OBI is with having my eyes on more important things, and that's something that I struggle with while being home as well. Um, because there's a lot of things I know I can do better at, and OBI is definitely an example of that. Because my dad has told me ever since I was young, he said, I feel like you don't apply yourself in a lot of things, and I feel like I haven't done that as much as I could have in OBI. I am excited that the school year is almost over, but that not because of the schoolwork, because I get to be home. But I'm excited to see how the rest of the semester is going to end or how it's going to go because he's already filled. One of my buddies has already been filled with the Holy Ghost for the first time, and I've seen my buddy Kyle. I've seen him completely change. I know you said take the filter off of going to school, but I feel like since I've been away for about what's it been like 7 months, I feel like that's mainly all I've known this past seven
Yeah.
months because I've watched individuals that I go to or that I'm at school with just completely become new people. I feel like the theme of what I've been talking about is just transformed because I've watched Kyle, his name's Kyle Yancey, become an unbelievable young man of God. And not only has he stepped up as a leader in in the youth services, he stepped up as a leader in chapel. I know that my generation calls this glazing, but it's just it's just really cool to watch. I mean, I feel like a lot of atheists in this generation they struggle because they don't see evidence, and I feel like I truly am seeing evidence, and it's just remarkable. I'm excited to watch because there's people at OBI that aren't filled, people that have been there for a while that aren't filled yet. And I'm really excited because, you don't get to see. Another thing is I got to see my buddy Kevin get filled when I came back for a weekend. You just after watching that, you get excited not for anything specific, but excited in expectation, if that makes sense. Because a lot of the things that we witness, we don't get to see every day. But when we do see it, I wouldn't say it's an occasion, but it's a just a moment where I don't know how to put it. It's one of those things that exceeds my vocabulary because it's very hard to describe. You
I'm surprised that
I,
there are students at OBI that aren't filled. How many would you say there are like that?
that I know of a handful,
Yeah.
but that handful, I this is just my personal saying. They deserve it a lot more than I did when I got filled because they're some of the most dedicated people. I mean,
I would challenge your thought process on that. How does one become like worthy enough to be filled?
well, I don't think
That's
that
dumb
anybody's
theology
really.
and dumb thoughts.
Oh, I know. I'm saying that I'm not saying that there's any scripture behind that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that personally because I see the way that I was when I got filled, and then I see the way they are when they're not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying by any means that I have the authority to say who
Yeah.
deserves and
No, I
doesn't
understand.
deserve it.
I understand.
But you look around and it kind of shocks you because you see the people and how they live and how dedicated they are. And I look at how unworthy I was and how I am still unworthy to be filled. And
So I've shared
I don't
with
know.
you like my story and how like there was a period in my life when I ran from God, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So when I came back to God, right? Like when I surrendered myself again to God, I think my mentality was a lot like the prodigal son. When the prodigal
Right.
son went back to his father's house, his mentality was, my father's servants have plenty enough to eat. I'm just going to go and I'm just going to be a servant. I'm not going to go back as a son. I'm just going to go back as a servant. I'm unworthy to be a son. And we know how the story plays out. And that's not acceptable. Like the father's, no, you're my son. I put my ring on your finger, my robe on your back. I'm gonna kill the fattest of the cows, right, calves, and
Yeah.
we're gonna have a party. This
Right.
mentality of like, I'm not worthy. I see these other people that are more dedicated, right? Like that's prodigal son thinking. He says,
I
"No,
just
you're not a servant. You are my son, joint heirs of everything."
I wasn't trying to say that I don't know. I wasn't meaning it like that. I was just
Yeah,
saying that you just you just see a lot of people that around at OBI, like you see truly unbelievable people.
yeah.
Like I've even talked to when I was talking to one of my friends about going to OBI. I was telling him, I said every single professor that you have has done something truly remarkable. I was talking to him about what my missiology professor, how I can't remember how many languages she can speak. She's
What
done
does
unbelievable work.
missiology mean?
The
What is
study or love
missiology?
the study or love for missions.
Okay, okay.
And if you knew
I
my professor,
let's
you'd
pretend I
understand.
never asked that. I should have knew that. Okay,
uh,
don't tell Setzer.
I won't tell him. I won't tell him. Hopefully he skips past this part. But if you met that professor, you truly understand because anytime if I'm telling you, if you write a paper about missions, she will be very extravagant to read it. It's just but that class, if you like I was saying, if you look at the professors, they all done something amazing. Like that professor right there, she'll tell us stories upon stories about how from other countries about how she would do missions work there and how different things would happen. And like I rarely heard a story from her being in the same country. It was always a different story from a
Yeah,
different country. Like, but I can't remember where I was going with this, but just you see remarkable people there, and then a guy that Brother Seth Hoover, he taught my children's ministry class first semester. Yeah, I heard that I've talked to him about this, and he's a very humble guy. And I said, I heard that you're fluent in 9 different languages. He's like, I can talk to other people in those languages how to get meals and stuff like that, simple phrases, but he can do more than that. But I don't know. It's just I can't remember where else I was going to go with it, but it's just OBI is just you are influenced every day by people that have allowed, like for example, have allowed people to change their life or allowed God to change their life. Um, and I was hoping one day I could be like that, and I'm trying to. It's it's a it's a process to say the least, but just there's I can't remember what I was talking about before. I think it was talking about how you see how you feel so undeserving after looking around, but because it's a gift. The baptism of the Holy Ghost is a gift,
yeah.
and sometimes I feel unworthy of that gift. A lot of times, actually. So I don't really have the mindset of being undeserving, but I feel like it's not a prideful feeling, but more of a shock sometimes because you know you see the past. That's all you see at that point. Like, when you go up, when I guarantee when you go up and you speak at Haven or you testify and you get off the stage, all you think of is the things you should have said or you could have said or you shouldn't have said.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like whenever I look at being having that gift, that's all I see. And that's why I feel so shocked that other people haven't gotten that gift.
You know, so I would say a couple things. Right off the bat, one, 25 years from now, you're going to be sitting across from some young man telling him all of the stories of the things that you have seen God do. From your yes to him, God is faithful, and you are going to have many stories to recount to the people you pour into. And you want to know who's going to be at the core of the stories? People. Every step of the way, right? Like this gospel message we're carrying it to people. As we do ministry, we're doing ministry to people. I had an opportunity recently to connect with a young guy. He's in his early 20s, I think. Um, and he's kind of got like a social media presence, and he's doing some like stuff for God on social media. And we're having this conversation, and it's very apparent to me that like this guy's all about like, I don't know how to say this. He like he has a heart for ministry. Okay, I don't know how best to say. I want to say this without it coming across bad. All I know to say is he has a heart for ministry. He's got this heart for ministry. He's trying to do something for God. He's doing good things. But like I'm having this conversation with him, and I point blank ask him. I'm like, and I knew the answer before I even asked him, right? But it was the door to where we were going. The question was this: tell me about who you're discipling right now.
Mm.
And it kind of stopped him in his tracks. He sat back, he hesitated. He's like, "Well, I'm not really discipling anybody right now."
Oh man.
We have to be pouring into people. Like our callings, the assignment on our lives, it's not a pulpit, it's not a platform, it's not a microphone, it's not a ministry position. It's people. Every step of the way, it's people. I believe with everything in me, 25 years from now, you're going to have ample stories of what you've seen God do. And every step of the way, it's going to be the people. When I tell people about the stories of what I've seen God do in my life, you want to know a story I tell them?
Which
Let me
one?
tell you about this young man I met, Josiah, who has gone off to
Um,
Bible college now. And let me tell you about everything God has done in his life, everything I've seen God do in his life over the last couple of years. It's people, man, every step of the way. And also, I'll say this as well. You're talking about like OBI and like these students there that haven't received the baptism of the Holy Spirit. That blows my mind. But do you like stop and consider this, right? Like stop and consider this. Consider how blessed you are. Like look at like where God has had you and like where you've been planted, right? Like the church you grew up in, like completely operated at like the highest level of excellence possible. You saw it all firsthand. You learned from that. You went through GCS. You're discipled through that. You're interwoven in the mix of everything at Haven, a community where like every person we take to camp, like before they even get to camp, right? They already have the baptism. Like we don't need like our people to receive the baptism. Like we're good, we'll disciple that on our own. Like it's just like natural rhythms for us, right? Like think about how blessed you are and how privileged you are to have been discipled and forged and shaped in the mix of everything that God has had you. Now you find yourself learning at OBI. Bro, you are incredibly blessed. You talked about like kind of, I forget exactly how you said it, but you said something to the extent of like maybe not always having your full heart in it and your eyes elsewhere. Listen, I'm
yeah,
gonna tell
it's
I'm gonna tell you what I told you. And what was that restaurant when you had that nasty steak? Waffle
Oh, Waffle
House.
House.
Why would someone? I would never get a steak at Waffle House.
Okay, if you would have
That
tried it,
sounds
you would have
that
understood. It
sounds
wasn't
disgusting.
bad.
But I
I
told
have
you
a I
there.
have a fascination in steak. I can't help it.
I told you there, and I'll tell you again now. Like when you go back, right? Like when you go back onto that campus, be the first one in, be the last one out. You know, like apply yourself fully. Don't regret your time there. Make the absolute most of it. You are ridiculously blessed to be in the position you are in.
I feel like the one of the things that I've noticed is that I've gotten to a point in my life where nothing is feels like it's going wrong. And sometimes that terrifies me because you know, brother or Pastor Dwayne Harney from Community Harvest, he always says that either in a trial, you're coming out of a trial, or you're about to go in a trial. And, I feel like sometimes since I've been at OBI, it terrifies me. I feel like something bad's about to happen. And I feel like I've always yearned to go home because I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people, because Brother Josh, I think, or someone said that you feel like you need to be back home or that incident wouldn't have happened or something like that. But I feel like whenever nothing is going wrong, I feel like I struggle the most because you're always second guessing. I have a bad overthinking problem, uh, which I think is costing me a lot in life. And I think that I am unbelievably blessed. Even if I weren't to go to OBI, even if I weren't to have a car, a roof over my head, a loving father, a loving family, I feel like regardless, I'm ridiculously blessed. And I just feel like sometimes when we're so blessed like that, I feel like regardless of how blessed we are, we always look at what we don't have sometimes. And I feel like that is a consistent struggle. And when I was talking about whenever I feel like I have my heart on, or my eyes on the wrong thing, I feel like that's because I look at what I don't have. Part of being a college student is, you know, you don't have as I certainly can say I don't have the financial stability that I did during the summer when I was working 50 hours a week compared to, now. But like, and that's a humbling experience to say the least. But I feel like, as blessed as I am, I struggle looking at what I don't have still. And, I testify constantly that whenever you think that God isn't going to move and that you need to look at the things that God has already done, um, that's a lot easier said than done. Because me and you are both incredibly blessed. But, and there's no but to that, but of course I'm going to put a but there. I feel like whenever everything is going, like, say we're like the Israelites, or I feel like our generation is the opposite of the Israelites. Because, whenever everything was good, they would turn away. But when everything got bad, they would call upon God. I feel like when everything's bad, I feel like I'm a lot better. But when I feel like I am the same as the Israelites. I twisted that. I feel like when everything's bad, I look towards God, and when things good are good, I still look towards Him, but I stress out because I feel like something bad's about to happen, and I feel like that has been a downfall of mine because I feel like a lot of times I think good times are too good to be true. Because, like, for example, my great grandma, she's in the back in the nursing home again, and it kind of scares me, and it's something that kind of weighs on my mind. But you know, we're still in a good time. I feel like I'm still not going through a trial, but it's just experiences like that that the enemy tries to use to tackle our thoughts. So I feel like we could be as blessed as we want in the world, and we would still think that we don't have what we need.
I would say that that mentality of like kind of wrapping things wrapping things with the lens of you're either in a trial, coming out of a trial, or preparing to go through a trial. Like when you're wrapping the good times in that out of fear of what's around the corner, it's fear, right? What does the scripture say? I have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, right? And like that mentality of like worrying over what's around the corner, like that is giving into the fear, right?
Right.
And like the text says, I've not been, like we look at how it says, I've not been given a spirit of fear. I think the most powerful, I've probably shared this with you before, I think the most powerful portion of that verse is what he says that you do have, right? He says that you've not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, right? You have power over those thoughts of the enemy. You haven't been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love. Love conquers all things. You've not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and what? A sound mind,
Sound right. Yeah.
right? And like those like getting wrapped up with like anxiety over what's around the corner, like that is a direct opposite of what it says that the spirit has given us, right? Like you're not marked by fear, you are marked by power, you are marked by love, you are marked by a sound mind, except nothing less than that sound mind. Have I told you the story of the painting? It was in Edna Wager's message. She had a white canvas with a black dot on it.
I love Edna Wagers.
I've never told you this story.
No.
All right. So, one of the most memorable messages I've ever heard in my life was preached by Edna Wagers. She had this like white canvas as a prop, right? Big white canvas. And there's just this black dot on it, this big black dot on it. And as she's
Oh, I
preaching,
think that you've, yeah.
okay, as she's preaching, she's like, "What is this a painting of?" And everyone's like, "It's a black dot." And then she's like, "No, this is not a painting of a black dot. This is a million white dots surrounding one black dot. There are so many white dots here, you can't count them."
Hmm.
That's what that's what we do with life, you know? Like we are surrounded by so many blessings. We are surrounded by so many good things. And then there's just this like this one black dot in the mix of it all. And our flesh is just like, this black dot, this black dot. No, you know? Like, bro, take your eyes off of that, you know? And be present with the Lord. I had this as we're talking. I had this dream recently. This came to mind. Not shared this publicly yet. May share it out more in detail at a later time, but just kind of quick synopsis of it. I think it applies to the mentality of like the ideal of you're either in a trial, coming out of a trial, prepared going in a trial. Listen, the trial doesn't matter. I had this dream, and in this dream, I was approached by an individual. The individual holds a gun out on me. Okay, like they hold this gun out on me, and they begin firing this gun at me point blank. And as they pull the trigger for the first time, I immediately quote the scripture, "No weapon formed against me will prosper." And as I quote the scripture, as the person pulls the trigger, the presence of the Lord just blankets before me. This person unloaded every bullet that was in the clip, just rapid fire. Not a single one of the bullets touched me.
Man.
So, are you in a trial? Are you coming out of a trial? Are you preparing to go into a trial? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, right? What matters is no weapon formed against me will prosper. The enemy at every turn will have some ploy, he'll have some plan, he'll have some weapon that he'll raise against us, but no weapon formed against me will prosper. Those trials
Uh,
are just weapons the enemy is flinging at you, and none of them will prosper.
he knows how to miss, doesn't he? Um, I was testifying. He made me think of this whenever I just said that. It made me think of this when I said that he knows how to miss. I was asked to testify at Bible Holiness, and it's the church that the colleges ran through, and it's a big church. I bet it seats 300 to 400 people, and I think that we probably get at minimum 200 every Sunday. So I was asked to testify on a Sunday night. I think it was a Sunday night, and I got it. Is it that or a Wednesday? And I was testifying, giving my testimony, and I was giving examples of all the things and I brought up one of them as the death of my sister Elena, and I brought up how that was another attempt of the enemy, and I would just say that was another attempt of the enemy, another attempt of the enemy, and I'd bring up how I didn't have my mom for the most of my life because due to drugs and all that, and I would just say another attempt of the enemy, and I would, and I should. One of the things I wish I said when I got off the stage is that he fails every time. Um, I I strongly believe that the devil will throw. Oh man, there's this we have to quote Psalm 91 every morning. And our and because like the story is like some soldier brother Josh says some soldiers quoted every time before they went to battle and they never lost a soldier or something like that, and we quote it every morning downstairs in the lobby of the dorm. And man, hold on, I'm gonna pull it up, but there's a part about I'll flip right to it, um and there's a part that says something about talking about dodging fiery darts, and I feel like I have to find that in order. Oh, it says thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. And take just to really taken in context, I feel like as a warrior of God and and part of His army, we are going to get fiery darts and arrows flying at us all the time. And as a soldier of God, He puts His hands of protection around us, and not just like objectively, but metaphorically, spiritually, mentally, even. Um, and honestly, we you're talking about that painting by Edna Wagers. That is like basically exactly how we see it. Is that we see that black dot, right? That's all we see. We don't see all the white dots around it that we can't count. All we see is the darts being thrown at us and the arrows coming at us. And and I think I've heard you tell that story countless times, but I feel like it hasn't really resonated with me until now. Um, but I'm telling you, if we have that mindset that we are surrounded with a lot more blessings than we are adversities and struggles, I feel like we could do that. Will completely put a different set of eyes in all of us. Um, and honestly, just by you giving or reminding me of that story, I feel like it's given me a boost going back to college because, yes, I do have this struggle. Yes, I'm a little behind because I got sick for a week. Yes, we this going on. Yes, we have freshman service, and I feel like I can't hit the key in the songs, right? But like, we have so much more to be grateful for. I get to go to a Bible college with countless people that are just professors, and the individual professors have so much that you can just soak up like out of. We had Brother St. Estes come in, and he was professor for my second semester or the afternoon class first semester. He came in, and all the guys that were in his class, and not even the ones in his class, just sat next to him just to soak up what he said. I am entirely so blessed to be around that. You may know Brother Clifford Hurst. He was a pastor at Union Road for 33 years before oh man, Brother Cruz. Just like I feel like the situation that I'm in, I feel like I don't deserve. And I'm not saying I'm trying to bring up the undeserving, but like I'm blessed to be a part of that situation you're in, to be surrounded by Brother Setzer, Brother Robert Martin, because it's his home church, right? Our church is our home church. Yeah, that's what I thought. Even he got to be influenced by people at OBI. I got to take a quick snap of his picture on the wall. It's kind of funny. I sent it to him. He's, oh, you got me. Um, but we get to be around people that benefit us real like every day. I was in a conversation with my dad the other day. He's like, Josiah, you're surrounded with truly amazing people. And at first I started to be like, I kind of like started claiming like it's mine kind of accomplishment because I'm like, yeah, I don't like being around toxic people, which is the truth, but God, He surrounded us with people not only to teach us the easy lessons, but to teach us the hard ones. And um, I'm really thankful for that. I feel like I need to share that because I have spoke to many people at OBI and at Bible Holiness, and there's not been one thing that they have said that has not been impactful in a good way. There's not been one thing that they said that didn't, that went through one ear and out the other. It's stuff that sits with you, stuff that stays in your heart. You know, I feel like there's so many things that we are given that we just let blow by and
What's
like that.
something? What is something that has been said to you at OBI that has just sat with you and influenced you?
Man, there's so much. Um, I think I think his brother Hoover's class, he was talking about children's ministry, and because that's like I think that would be the field that I work in initially whenever, because I'm not saying that I'm still praying about this, but I'm starting to feel the burden for children's ministry and missions, and he was telling me that, man, I had like 30 pages on docs of notes from his class just in one semester, and I missed like four classes because of being sick, and that it's just so much. Man, how about this? Since I can't remember a specific line, we're doing a dating and like that. We have Sunday school, and then there's Brother Hurst is teaching a Sunday school class. That it's a and the title is Kingdoms First, uh, Godly Dating and Marriage. So you already know everybody's looking around at each other during that. One of the things he said was, uh, not just in regards to relationships. He says that he's talking about how a lot of people use God as a reason to get out of relationships and stuff. Like, and they'll use that, but make God as the excuse. He says something like, um, "Don't use the voice of God as an example to do what you want." And I feel like that is like, I'm not saying I've done that before, because I probably made the mistake, obviously, but I'm not saying that that's been a struggle of mine. But I feel like a lot of times we think that the Lord gives us something to say or gives us something to do, and we use that to justify things that we do. And I'm not saying that all those things are bad things, but I feel like something that line really hit me because I feel like a lot of my perspective on things that God has told me was incorrect, because God has told me to do things, and I felt it tank in my heart, but may have not been the timing. Like it was something I felt to do, but not yet, or that I was told to do, but I haven't done it yet. Um, Using the voice of God to do something we want to do, and I may be paraphrasing with him, but he is he's drilled into us every Sunday morning before service about relationships, and I haven't really been paying attention to much of how like in seeing it in the with the eyes of relationship with a girl. I've seen it with the eyes of relationship with God, because I feel like as he talks about making excuses to stop talking to someone, we make excuses to stop talking to God. We put things first. we make all that time for that, that pretty lady we want to go out with. Make all that time for the hang out with the boys or to go to the gym. We don't make time for God. And I feel like that is like a little far fetched from the line that I was talking about, saying using God's voice as an excuse to do what you want. I feel like that's where it really hit me because I feel like I use other like God's voice. I feel like I haven't. I'm saying I've used God's voice is a hard, not a good way to put it, but I just feel like I've made excuses not to hear the voice of God, if that makes sense. And I feel like that class has kind of really slapped me in the face
Yeah.
of convicted me of that
What is
because
it, as you've been wrestling with this, um, what's kind of like the conclusion you've come to on how to hear God's voice in a healthy way?
you know how you say in service, oh man, press deeper, keep pressing in. Exactly right. Um, I was talking to my buddy Jordan, and I was like having a personal conversation with him. And I think it was right after the freshman like bonfire service. He was telling me and two other guys. He said whenever I pray, he's been through a lot of his life. I've been through some of the same stuff that he's gone through, and I kind of like relate to him a lot. And he says that I every time I get down on my knees to pray, I ask God to tender my heart. And when I pray and I ask the Lord to tender my heart, I just feel I just don't feel like my heart is hardened towards the things that are going on, you know, because the more you don't hear the voice of God, the harder it is to want to to try to listen. Because I'll go down to the altar and I feel like I do more listening than talking sometimes. But you know, because the Lord wants to hear what we have to say. He already knows, but He wants to hear it from us. And I feel like sometimes I listen a lot more than I talk to the Lord. But I remember Brother Moses. I think his brother Moses Romero that he was a teacher at GCS. He told me, or I think he was the one that asked me. Like he'll say that he'll go to the altar, and he'll just listen. I think it was him that said that. I may be wrong, but I feel like we there's no we shouldn't have one sided conversations with God. I feel like there's times where we need to talk, but Dad tells me that you have two ears. I think he quotes the Bible saying that you have two ears and one mouth. Like I don't know if that's where it's at, but he said you're supposed to listen as twice as much as you talk. And I feel like sometimes we talk more than we listen because we don't
Slow
want
to
to hear.
speak and swift to hear.
Right. And I feel like sometimes I use the excuse that I'm listening instead of trying to talk to the Lord. And I feel like that's a personal struggle of mine. But um the Lord wants to talk, wants to speak to us. He wants to be active in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
And you know, I want, there's a quote from Davy and Natalie Lloyd who were missionaries down in you know all about them.
Yeah.
They're missionaries down in Haiti and they said something along the lines with oh man, I can't remember the quote saying that they want to live in the light of eternity every day or something like that. And I think that when we have that mindset, that's when things truly start to unfold. Um, Sister Jennifer Norman, she's a missiology professor. She she said something along the lines with like the most things happen when you are the most satisfied in Him. And I know I didn't get the first part of that right, but I feel like the part at the end is what really matters. The most satisfied in Him is that I think it's like the most. Or I can't put it. I can't get think of it, but it's just like I want to be most satisfied in Him, and that has been the biggest struggle for me in my life because you know I've had I've I've tasted the world. I've heard the world. I've I've listened to every kind of music you can think of. Probably not the any music in different languages, but but I've heard it all. I've seen it all, and which I'm not saying I'm a know-it-all, but I mean, I know what doesn't taste good, and sometimes I feel like my fleshly instincts to call or like make me want to go back, but the Lord, since I've been at OBI, has helped me to be most satisfied in Him. Um, because I've never been really much of a rule breaker, at least getting past sophomore year of high school. But at least I feel like all the rules that I broke would be petty rules. But I've never been one to really be a bad rule breaker, and I'm fine with not being like that. Because I feel like a lot of times we struggle with wanting to do the things that make us. I don't know how to describe it because I struggle with not being. I'm happy in my own skin, and but I feel like I struggle with being calm with just the Lord. And I feel like the OBI has really strengthened that within me, if that makes sense. Hey, Brad, you are muted.
My bad. Well, let
You're
me
good.
let me ask you this as we enter this last portion of the call. We prepare to wrap up. Um, we've talked a lot about kind of like your experience at OPI and like what God's doing in your life in the mix of everything. It seems to me that God is just bringing you into this place of just spiritual discipline and teaching you to just kind of be still and lean on Him and listen to His voice. You know, just be with Him. Um, as you've prayed and you've sought God and you've done that and you've been still and you've listened less than you talk, which that's a crazy thing to think, right? Like Josiah Van Horn, listening more than he talks. But as you've listened more than you talk, what is God saying? What do you think the heart of God is? Because when we listen more than we talk, this thing happens where God shares his heart with us. So, as we prepare to wrap up tonight's call, like, what do you think the burden on God's heart is?
People,
People. Good answer,
people.
my friend. Good answer.
I feel like that's every time I get on my knees to pray, or if I'm walking around in the hall, the lobby, or in the dorm when we're having prayer meeting, all I think about is the people that uh that I feel responsible to bring them home. Um, I've told God before multiple times in prayer. I said, God, I will give you every ounce of me if I see my mom shouting in the altars.
Let me challenge you with something. Wait, no, I'll save that for when we're off the call. Because we're about to wrap up. So let's just go ahead and wrap up. We'll chat more when we're off the live. But
Yeah,
those who hung out with us live tonight, thank you so much. Those watching via replay, thank you. And until next time, we love you. Deuces.